All right, y'all, I get this question all the time and I never answer it because it's just so different for different people about, you know, quitting your job and going full-time reselling, being your own boss and all things like that. And I usually don't answer, but there was two things today that really made me reflect and think about this. And I'm going to tell you about those, and then I'm going to answer the question a little bit today. And we've got some awesome things that sold, 22 things, I think, somewhere around there. Headed out of here. A lot of low dollar sales too. Let's go take a look. Look at this, y'all. Look at Mike corrupting Jess. She didn't get any work done since Mike's been here. I guess I shouldn't complain. We've been live selling all day today. This is the first batch shopcommons.net stuff that went out, and we sold a ton of t-shirts, Harley t-shirts, and she helped a ton with that. I'm gonna go turn this AC off. Then I'm gonna pick up 3 items really quick, or 4 maybe, and then we're gonna get into the topic. All right, it is trash day, y'all. I've been gathering up the garbage around here, putting it in my truck. This is right up my alley, this sale right here. RC Cola. There was a box of 14 of these stacks at a sale in Nashville, and I saw them. I'm like, oh, sweet. This is going to be good. And a lot of people pass this stuff up, but it was a donation yard sale. I don't know. We're into this for hardly anything. Maybe $20 for the whole box. As a matter of fact, there are some books in here that we bought at that sale. Stephen King books we just sold off in a giant lot on Shop Commons. I think I paid $50 for everything at that sale. Pulled an autographed Stephen King out of there, and then sold the rest of the Stephen King books, and then had 2 other bags full of stuff, and got these cups for $50. So I didn't know the autograph was in there. So we're already in the profit from the Stephen King books, which is kind of cool. This will put us in the profit. This is a stack of 5 vintage new old stock RC Cola red cups. You know, you kind of see it at a pizza place or something. And they only sold for $22 plus shipping, but there was 14 stacks of them. And so you make $18 14 times in a row. Super cool. Love that one. I'll get a 4x4 by 48 box and cut it into 3 sections and use that to ship it out. On a day like this, being your own boss means putting in a good 12 hours. That's the first little bit that I'll talk about. Probably more like 14 hours when it's all said and done. But I did go out to eat. I went to a doctor appointment this morning. That's part of my story. And then I went and talked to my brother came in and met us, and he's from Arizona, and he's in town working right now. Hey, Funko Pops, y'all. I got some low dollar sales today. I've got some good ones too, but I got some low dollar ones. And this isn't terribly bad for people saying Funko Pops never ever sell. And that one did sell, not for a ton, $14.95 plus shipping. Speaking of things that I hear people tell me all the time I'm wasting my time on, which, whatever, maybe I am compared to my time's worth this. My time, you know, I was a teacher for 20 years, if you're new, 21 years. And boy, my time is important, but, you know, I was never a lawyer or a doctor making ridiculous money. I was making 42 grand a year was the most I ever made after that long. This is a Texas Longhorn shirt, not even single stitch, vintage. And it sold for $35.95. I think that's right. How cool is that? Look at that. Plus shipping. Let me double check it and make sure. Yeah, $34.95 plus shipping. So I guess I'll start telling you, these boys are happy I'm home. To have working partners like these two can be a pain sometimes, but it's pretty nice. You're in here begging for treats. See, even when you're your own boss, you still have bosses. So most of you husbands know that for sure. And then I got these 2 bosses, and then these cats try to boss me around. But listen, I was driving today. I had a doctor appointment early this morning, almost the same time. I used to get up early, 21 straight years driving to the exact same place, driving the exact same way, taking the same off ramps, going to the exact same classroom and teaching. And I'd wake up at 5:45, 6 o'clock every single day to do that. And I just happened to be going to a hospital, a little thing that they were doing some tests and stuff. And I just happened to be going exactly right by the old school. So I'm taking that path today. I'm like, man, this reminded me. And there's some fond memories there and stuff. So it was kind of neat. Hey, people are trying to listen. And I was just like, man, I'm so glad. Because I felt like it was early today. And it was an hour after I would make that trek back in the day. I had to kick the dogs out for a minute. He was making a bunch of noise. I gave him a treat, though, don't worry. And it just made me kind of reminisce about it. And I'm like, man, it is so nice to be able to not have to get up when you're told, you know, or not told, when you had to go to work. It's so nice not to be on somebody else's calendar and somebody else's clock. And I started to think about it a little bit. I'm like, you know, I'm still on a calendar. I'm still on a clock. If you want to succeed at something, being your own boss takes some certain responsibility. And I'm going to get digging into that a little bit today and keep picking. And Turner also asked me a question. I came back and met them for breakfast and met my brother and my family, my wife and my kids. And my brother was there too. And on the way home from that, I took Turner home and he asked me a question that really got me thinking some more. Speak of the devil. Here's a cool little sale. This is a Charles Clark original bowling ball bag. And it had some bowling ball shoes in it. And they matched the bag. And so we put it out there at a good price. And I'll let you take a peek in there. See, there's those shoes and they match that bag. How cool is that? And it sold for a good price, $55.95 plus shipping. And bowling ball bags don't normally sell that good for me. But with those shoes, that was the real kicker. For sure. A little fading on the bag, but it's in pretty good shape, and the shoes are too. Anyway, Turner asked me a question. He says, Dad, when you made your very first YouTube video, why did you make it? And I thought, that was an interesting question. So I thought about it for a minute, and I thought I'd give him this straight answer. And I said, hey, I saw other people doing what I do, and I've done for a long, long time. At that point, 20 years. And I saw them becoming more successful in their reselling business because of that. And I know that you can make some money on YouTube. I didn't know how much you could make. I knew nothing about any of that stuff. I didn't know anything. I still don't know anything. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to edit without a phone. It's the only thing I edit with. And he's like, did you think you'd be able to quit your job? Is that why you did it? And I was like, no. I said, I guess part of me hoped that that's something that could happen because my job was pretty stressful at the time for all kinds of different reasons. I had already quit coaching a couple years before. I was still coaching, just not coaching at that school, and I wasn't the head coach anymore. I had quit driving the bus and stuff to ramp up the business and to do the YouTube and all that stuff. And I thought, you know what? Would I have picked up that camera if I didn't think there was a shot at being able to be my own boss? And I don't think I would have. And I think there's a lot of people who constantly ask me that question. And there's a lot of folks out there who are trying to do it because they see people out there doing it, which is what I saw. And, you know, people like Craigslist Hunter and stuff. And I was like, this is awesome. What kind of an amazing job would that be? And of course, you know, out of the shed, Lonnie did that. And I was like, man, I could put a shed in my backyard. And I was like, all I need to do is make, you know, this much. If I could just make this much on the social media side and ramp up the reselling. I thought to myself, if I could make $1,000 a month on YouTube and I'd have more time to ramp up my reselling and increase that revenue, I'd be making exactly what I was making teaching. And I think a lot of folks out there see not just my story, not just YouTube and whatever, but they see that time out there that they spend working for somebody else and they think, man, it would be so good. And I see so many people succeed at it and I see so many people fail at it. And when I say success and failure, I'm not talking about YouTube, although we could talk about that too. But I just mean quitting your job and becoming your own boss. And a lot of people can succeed at it and flourish for a lot of reasons we'll talk about in here. And a lot of people don't. They end up going back to a job, both of which are okay. The dogs, I never seen anything like this before. So I looked it up and I had a comp and it's like a couple sold, whatever. And I wouldn't normally sell this on eBay. But I put it on there and it never ever sold, went on discount. It sold for $4.89 plus shipping. Not exactly a way to, you know, make up for a lost salary, but hey, whatever. It's cool. Somebody wanted it and somebody's got it. So the way I explained it to Turner, because I was wondering why he asked that question, and I still don't really know, but I just thought, I wonder why he's asking this. And I thought back to when I was his age, and back then I thought for sure I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. I was really good, and it's like, yeah, you know, and I worked hard and it motivated me. And so what motivated me to do the things that I had to do, if that was ever going to be a possibility, was that hope that, yeah, you could do this. And I did. I worked my tail end off, especially those first few years when I was on social media. I put out a video every single day for well over 2 years. I think I missed one day in 2 years. I just didn't miss any. And at the same time, I was trying to grow, because if you're going to put out reselling content every day for 2 years, you better be doing reselling. You better have sales. You better do that. And I was learning how to edit and do all these things. And I know this doesn't apply to everybody, but I'm just trying to say, when I give people the suggestion, or if they ask me if they should quit their job and do X, Y, or Z and resell or whatever, I just say, you know what? Keep your job. Keep your job and do both. Instead of putting in 50, 60 hours a week, put in 80. Put in 80 hours a week and see if you can't get that thing to start popping. And then if you can, put all that money aside, the extra part of it that you're making over and above, until you get yourself in a position where you can make the decision and something's already succeeding and you see a trajectory to it. And then you go and you take that chance. And then you still have to make decisions along the way because there's bumps in the road. And so a lot of those people who have done that kind of stuff have succeeded and really, really flourished. And I'm not talking about social media, although some people choose that as the side gig to reselling, right? Some people choose DoorDash and reselling. Some people choose whatever it is that you choose. But I really, really think it's important to know the end game and about being your own boss. And I don't talk about it often, but I work my tail end off. I absolutely do. And, you know, and I still figure out a way. You know, I'm here with my kids every day. We're here, like Turner's out there, right? You know, I've been working all day. Beautiful day. I haven't played catch with him outside. And I'm just like, man, this is not why I quit my job, right? So you got to slow down, figure out where you're making most of the money and make decisions. Like we sold live today. I could have been out throwing with him. But, I mean, I made $260 net profit in a live sale today. And that was one of the 2 live sales that we did. And people will look at things like live selling and they'll look and I had people tell me even today, you know, you could have made $450 if you sold those all on eBay. And I'm like, yeah. And it would have taken me 10 hours to get those 46 shirts listed. It would have taken me another 3 to ship them, you know, individually, one at a time or whatever. And I'm like, I make those decisions because A, that I can now, and B, because I want to have time with my family. And so to increase revenue and to do both is kind of cool. These are really cool. Just little wooden dumbbells. Took me a while. They were $1 buy. And they didn't sell for full price, but we did get $16.89 for them, plus shipping. I got to go in and get another t-shirt that's sold, but I think there's a lot of self-reflection that people need to have. They need to know what type of personality that they have. I know I have an obsessive personality. I have a ridiculously obsessive personality. And to be aware of it is important. Like, you know, when I was teaching, I was going to be the best teacher in that building. I was going to be. My kids were going to have the best experience in that classroom. When I was coaching, I was all in. Once I started not to be all into coaching, it was easy for me to quit. Because I wouldn't want to do something if it was going to be, you know, halfway. And so I knew that if I was willing to work that hard for other people's kids, for other, you know, for the school, for whatever, for my baseball team, I knew I would be able to work twice as hard for myself. And so, you know, if you're the kind of person that doesn't have that self-motivation and drive, it's not going to be the right decision for you. I guarantee it. Honestly, I think that's why I love so many resellers out there and I get along with so many of them. I broke the hanger off here. So I don't know how I'm going to get this up here, but maybe I'll hang it sideways. It's because so many people out there share that ambition for their families, for their futures. And I think that's why I'd like to get together with so many of them. Sierra Nevada t-shirt here. Torpedo Extra IPA. It's a new old stock shirt, I believe. It doesn't have a tag. It sold on discount as well. $9.95 plus shipping. Or $9.98 or something like that. I can't remember. But you can see we've had some lower dollar sales. Under 10, under 10. $14.95, $16.95. But you know, these are nice sales right here. I'll take these for sure. And I don't mean the motivation and the determination to quit your job or to work for yourself necessarily. Just a lot of resellers out there just have drive, whether it's to be able to retire a little bit earlier, whether it's to be able to put a kid through college or to go on that extra family vacation. There's a lot of that drives and motivates a lot of people, and they're willing to put in the work. I, for one, was excited when I got home from work. Even if it was after a ball game and it was midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, I would still get to work. I would wake up early in the morning and I would go to school. You know, I'd have to be there by 6:30, 7, whatever it was. I don't remember at this point. It changes year to year. And I'd be waking up early. I'd be listing before school started. It's because I just wanted something different. And it's been amazing. Now, part of the reason it's been amazing is because social media and folks like you watch me, and I'm not blind to that. There's a lot of folks out there who try the social media thing, and it just doesn't work for them. And I don't know why it worked for me. I'm incredibly grateful. Will always be. It changed my life forever. And I got to meet so many amazing people. I increased my income. It's just been amazing. But I just wouldn't give up. I just wouldn't quit. And now I'm in a position where I can make decisions like I did with this lot of stuff today, these 2 shows. Where yes, I'm like, yeah, I could plow through this thing. I could put in just massive amount of work. I've got so much stuff to list on eBay at this point, doesn't matter. Or I could take the easy way out, make a lot less money. Not a lot less. We did pretty good on it. But make a little less money on it. And then get in here and film this video and do the eBay shipping. And tomorrow I have off. Meaning I have off from eBay. And have off from live. Actually, no, I am selling live tomorrow. What am I talking about? But you can make decisions that can help you down the road and to accomplish the real goal, which for me was to be free. It wasn't to have a boss. Now, the next part of what I'm going to talk about is we all still really do have bosses, no matter what. You might remember me selling a bunch of softballs a while back. And then I had to sell them again because I had to cancel the order because I put 12-inch softballs on them instead of 11-inch because I used this listing, which is 12 inches, to do my other listing and change the pictures and that, and I screwed it up. But this one sold too, $69.97 plus shipping. So listen, if you have the ability to be able to determine things for yourself, and how hard you work determines how much money you make. Because if you're going to quit to be a reseller, man, it is just that. How hard you work determines how much money you make. And sometimes you work your tail off and the money doesn't come in. So, if you're going to be in that position, if you have a mortgage, you have a boss. If you got an electric bill, you got a boss. If you have a spouse, you have a boss. And you're still accountable. It is very different. And I encourage people to figure out a way in your life to be able to get to that point. But it's not like it is the only thing that people need to shoot for. And I hear from people out there all the time, I want this so bad, and I was like, how bad? How bad do you want it? Do you want to put in an extra 20 hours a week in order to free yourself from a boss, like a car payment or whatever it is, and then put yourself in a situation where you can succeed at it? I see so many people. I don't even want to bring this person up. I don't know them that well. But I could see it coming. It's like, sometimes people get thrust into these situations and they go for it. And then some people want it so bad that they do it too early. And it wasn't the personality type, I didn't think, that would succeed at it. And that can work too. Sometimes you just fall into good situations and it can work. But for this particular person, they weren't in a financial situation to do it. And I made very little money for a long, long time. But all of the eBay that I did for 20 years was done to keep me out of debt. That's what it was done for. It wasn't for extra vacations. It wasn't for any of that. It was just to survive with a family of 5 with one income coming in from school system. And I could see that this person was willing to, when they didn't have money for something, buy it anyways. And we just weren't. We didn't have cable TV. We didn't have nothing. And it was just to make sure we weren't going backwards. We were going very slowly forwards, but we were not going to go backwards. And, my wife helped me with reselling and stuff. And so put yourself in a position to have fewer bosses by not having debt. You know, the borrower is servant to the lender. And I still have debt. I still owe on this house. I think that's all I owe on, unless my wife's been doing something I don't know about. Now, I would argue, well, I'll tell you what, this might not make a lot of people happy, but that's okay. I'm just telling you how I feel. You don't have to feel like this. I would argue that if you are a person of faith, you also, I'm hoping here, I have faith I'll find Jesus in here. You also have another boss, and I think that maybe even if you're not a person of faith, you got a boss, you just don't know it. This is Jesus here, y'all. Home Interiors, 1983 on this one. Did not think it would be a big winner, but it was a winner. Look at this mess in here. See what I mean? I've been buying so much, it didn't matter where I just got to sell it everywhere because I can't get through it. Which is kind of fun, because buying's the fun part, right? This one right here sold, I'll just do it in here, sold for $17.95 plus shipping. I'm not saying this to folks out there, and there's a lot of folks who are their own boss at this point, that are resellers full-time, whatever you want to call it. I think that's all just a bunch of whatever. It's all, everything comes together. How are you going to live your life? How are you going to make enough money to live the way you want to live? I'm fortunate that I don't have that much that I want out of life, as far as monetarily, or, you know, I don't need new cars. I don't need all that stuff. I honestly just say this to make the folks out there who ask me about it all the time, you know, yeah, it's amazing to be your own boss, but don't think for a second that you won't have a boss. You're going to have a boss. You're going to have multiple bosses. And the folks out there who have discipline to be their own boss, who can make themselves do things when they don't want to do them, they're the ones that are better suited to do this, and not have another job and a backup plan. I know a lot of amazing people who aren't suited to do it, and I know a lot of amazing people who are. This is a cool little hummingbird banner. Didn't sell for much. I'm just crazy and love to sell them. $9.95 plus shipping. Some of you might remember me picking this up at a sale. Paid $15 for it, I believe. And it's Briar. And I almost didn't get it because there was water damage all over it. It was in a basement that was damp and all that. But everything was sealed inside, and I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to pick it up. That did hamper the sale. It took a long time, but 15 into 60 plus shipping. Honestly, I think the answer in all of this is just simple contentment. Learning how to be content in most situations. That doesn't mean sacrifice your drive and your goals. It just means to be able to look at your circumstances and just look at it in a way that, I mean, let's face it. We live in an amazing place in an amazing time. We are all in the 1%. All of us are in the 1%. If you look at the history of the world and the way people lived in the past and what they had, and we should all be able, if we can't be content, then how in the world were those folks content? I haven't sold one of these in a while. It looks like I finally found it. It was the second to last one I looked at, so that's good. Little Gertie ET pendant. This is not one of our best sellers. And they are slow sellers, but at, one listing and wait for years until I hit Social Security and sell, hey, $4.19 plus shipping for that ET Gertie pendant. A lot of people hear be content, and they hear, what, you want me to have no ambition? And that is not it at all. Be able to be content and ambitious at the same time. It's not as difficult as people might think. This little Pooh Bear is hard to get. I hope this is it. Is this Gund? It says Sears. I don't think it's a Gund. Yeah, it is. It's a Gund Sears. That one didn't sell for a bunch, but I love Sears Poohs and Gund as well. Sold for $13.30 plus shipping. Y'all, I sold 46 Harley shirts today on dibditthreads.com. And I just sold one more, so let's make it 47. It's a pretty cool, almost like a bowling shirt or something. I don't know what I'd describe it. It's kind of cool. It does have a little issue in it, but not too bad. $19.95 plus shipping. I didn't have any intention of turning this into a religious show today, but it got me thinking about, how I could express it. I used to teach AP World History, so, the world religions were always a huge topic, and the kids really got into it, because we could remove ourselves from all of our own kind of biases that we have and kind of look at them next to each other. And I think Buddhism makes this point fairly well, even though I don't agree with the Four Noble Truths. I'm going to make the point using it. I used to ask my students, after we'd go through the religions, I would say, you know, which cultures in the world, because we'd study world cultures, are the most ambitious? Which cultures are the least ambitious? Which cultures are the most likely to follow rules? Which ones are the least likely to follow? You know, I'd ask those kind of questions, and they're like, well, what is he asking? And the point I was trying to make is that their underlying worldview, the philosophy that built the foundations of all of these cultures around the world, usually were rooted in some kind of philosophy or religion. Man, I'm really going down a rabbit trail. Hey, look at this. Oh, I put these out, or Jess did. Somebody did. Didn't have to dig for them. They're being nice to me. They know that today's busy. Lift gloves. I bought a bunch of these, and I knew they would not do very well. But I bought them anyways because I was trying to make a bigger deal on a connection, and I'm still making a little bit of money. They only sold for $7.66 plus shipping. And so they'd love this stuff because it was, you know, not the boring, just teachers up there, I'm writing notes and all that. And we'd get into debates and start talking about philosophy and stuff. They loved it. And Buddhism would always come up because they really liked it as far as the thought-provokingness of it. I'm not saying they agreed with it or didn't, but it's interesting because, you know, the Four Noble Truths, the first one is everything, I'm going to paraphrase or put it in normal speak, everything in life is suffering and sorrow. The second noble truth is that suffering is caused by desire. Okay? In other words, not being content. So the third noble truth is basically to get rid of that suffering, you just get rid of your desire. And of course, follow the middle path, right? There's a way to not seek after all the things that we always seek after, and there's a way to not deprive yourself of all those things either. There is a middle way, a middle path. And I'd ask them questions like, you know, which one of the religions would be least likely to build an empire of some sort, if that's the worldview that underlies a culture? And they would come up with Buddhism. And I was like, okay, why? And it was because, well, you know, you get rid of your desire, you'll get rid of your suffering. Well, if you get rid of your desire, you have no ambition. You don't have any massive ambitions to go out there and conquer the world, for instance. And so, therefore, it is actually a very small faith in comparison to the other major religions. This is, oh boy, I'm getting way afield. Hopefully you enjoy it. I don't know, maybe you will. This is obviously a big bird from Applause. Did not sell for very much, and it went off on clearance for $8.57 plus shipping. My point in all this, while I don't agree with everything in life is suffering and sorrow and it's caused by your desires, there's no doubt that your desire that is unfulfilled can make you unhappy. And so if your desire is to quit your job and to be your own boss and to do this full time, and you're seeing obstacles in your way, it's going to hurt your head. It's going to make you disappointed. Just like when I was a little kid, you know, I really, really, really wanted to be a baseball player. And at some point, when I got to college and started playing, and I look around, I'm like, I'm not as good as these guys. There's no way I'm going to make it to the next level. That was disappointing. But I think the key to it is it never stopped driving me until I kind of realized this probably isn't going to happen for me. And that drive was a good thing that whole time. It made me better. It made me focused. It made me disciplined. And I think it's the same way in reselling, you know. Even if we don't quite get to where our ultimate goal is, we're still accomplishing so much. And if you can enjoy that process, if you can be content with what you have, but still have desire to progress, to get better, to make connections, to become a better reseller, to become a better person, you know, you can do both. And it's what I really kind of strive to do. I want to be content and, you know, be happy because I'm with my family. I'm sitting under that tree. I'm making enough money to live a good life, to help people around me, to help myself, to take care of the future. But I still have desire and drive to do other things, to make new partnerships, to make new connections. And that is a tough balance to strike. And I think that mentality is the kind of mentality that people have to have if they want to be their own boss, if they want to go full time. You got to have contentment. Like, hey, maybe I can make this work, but maybe I can't make it work enough to have a $50,000 truck. Another item that didn't sell sold for 30% off, and it's not a high dollar sale, but you know what? They're all adding up today. It's been a pretty good day in the end. $10? What did it sell for? I'm a little surprised it only sold for this much. $10.50 for that Patagonia. It's a size small. It's like a terry cloth or something. I don't know. I think I gotta go inside again. Let me know out there if you have made this decision, if you've worked hard to get to where you're at. Maybe you retired early and you're your own boss now. Tell me your experience with it. Everybody has a different story, and I kind of want to see what your path is, or maybe you're in a position where your goal is to do that. Do you think you're getting closer to it or farther away? And really, I haven't even mentioned something that I probably should have. You know, eBay's our boss in some ways too, right? You got to toe the line and do it their way, or you end up, you know, they're not happy with you. This is a vintage Barbizon nightgown, and I bought this at an estate sale because it was way overpriced, and I saw this is like the only thing I could find and look through was the vintage clothing. It does have a couple of issues, but that one right there sold for good money. 25 bucks, I think, is what that sold for. $23.70 plus shipping, and I got a cat in here. That was Pepper in here. I just put Pepper out, and now I see Boots. So you must have snuck in too. Honestly, y'all, that's part of the reason, you know, having a little bit more control. It's why I started these Dibdit marketplaces. I didn't want to be dependent on eBay or even some of these other marketplaces. I don't think I could. I'd have to go back to working if it wasn't for eBay. But now that we've built these marketplaces up, they put this one out for me too. I'm not sure I would have to go back to work. I might have to change my model a little bit, but I don't think I would. Sesame Street socks, not huge winners. Speaking of, I bought these over on Dibdit. All right, what was it, giveaway or so? I can't remember. $9, and I have no idea. $8.55 plus shipping. Honestly, I don't remember where I got these at all. This was a purchase I made almost a year ago, and we sold them all. This is the last batch, and we had tons of them. Not huge winners, but 50 cents a piece is what I paid, and we sold them in lots of two for a long, long time, making about $5 profit a piece. He sold for $8.37 plus shipping. By the way, so I don't get yelled at in the comments, Turner did not ask me to play catch with him today. He would have played if I would have asked him. He was out here doing some stuff on his own today. He did ask me, however, to play a video game, which I also don't like to do, but I do it for him sometimes. Dale Earnhardt wall clock. I've sold this before. It was a return. They said it wasn't working, but we got it back and it was working. So $28 for that one plus shipping. I actually might have that story wrong. I think we might have listed it as new because it would have the wrapping and everything, but I think it had been taken out and then put back in, and so it was a mislisting. I think that's right. Can't really remember. All right, y'all, it is dinner time and I am hungry. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's made this possible for me. Like I told Turner, I was hoping that some of this stuff would work, and I put in the work for it, and then for whatever reason people decided they wanted to watch and they enjoyed it, and I am eternally grateful for everything you guys do. The viewer purchases, although did I not have a viewer purchase today? I'm sure there was one in there, but I didn't write one down. But at any rate, if you bought any of this stuff today, I saw no messages. Thank you. Some good sales, some mediocre sales, and some low dollar sales, but it all adds up, and I'm super excited about how things are going for us. And thank you also for using the affiliate links that you can find on CommonwealthPicker.com, getting my go-to tape. By the way, their tape is back. I just ordered a giant pack of the 3-inch tape. I absolutely love it. Use code Commonwealth for 5% off for that. Their bubble wrap, you can use the link, but there's no code. Anyway, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys have meant the world to me and to my family, and I appreciate you very, very much, and I can't wait to see you next time.
Kevin, remember that time you chose poorly? Wouldn't you think that if I'm better at YouTube than you, I'd be better at baseball?